What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Retro Room. Today in this video, we're going to be getting into a game I haven't played in over 30 years, and that game is the original Road and Track presents The Need for Speed. Let's get into it right after this. All right, everybody. Christmas 1994, I received a Panasonic 3DO, which at the time was like $599, which in today's dollars, adjusted for inflation, is over $1,000. And one of the first games that I had for the 3DO was The Need for Speed. Now, this was the original game that spawned the whole series, and it was actually known as Road and Track Presents The Need for Speed. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, Road and Track is a very popular automobile magazine that's been around for a very long time. This game had some awesome cars. Had the Lamborghini Diablo, had Ferrari 512 TR, it had Porsche 911, it had Corvette ZR1, and it had a very important car in my life, which I actually ended up owning about 5 years later, and that was the third generation Mazda RX-7. In this game, it was a 93 or a 94 Mazda RX-7. So very cool. I'm going to actually get to drive the car that I owned on the video game that I played before I got the car. Anyway, as you know, like I said before, this spawned an entire series of Need for Speed games, but the original will always have a special place in my heart. And so without further ado, let's go on over and play it. All right, let's get Road Rash out of here. Pop the Need for Speed in. Oh yeah, fond memories of that sound. Definitely bringing back memories. Electronic Arts Canada. Oh, that's so awesome. I remember seeing these little things and thinking how cool they sounded. I had my 3DO hooked up to a surround sound system, and so this just sounded rad. But, you know, imagine me back in 1994 seeing these cutscenes, you know, coming from Super Nintendo. This was just awesome, you know, to me. Very cool. I realize this isn't anything that's rendered in game or anything. It's just a video, but... All right, so we're going to go one player. I'm going to do head-to-head. We did the city before. We got Rusty Springs, the city before in Road Rash. Rusty Springs, Autumn Valley, Vertigo Ridge, City, Coastal, Alpine. I think we'll go Alpine. Okay, so yeah, we had Lamborghini Diablo. I think I left a couple of cars out. We had the Diablo VT, Porsche 911 Carrera, Corvette ZR1, 512 TR, Dodge Viper RT10, the NSX, awesome car, Mazda RX-7. So, interesting, I actually ended up buying a Mazda RX-7 third generation, just like this one, about 5 years later. So to be able to revisit this and play the car that I would eventually own that was in a video game, I had no idea I would ever own this car. Toyota Supra Turbo, awesome car. And we're back to the beginning again. So even though it's not the fastest car, we're going to go with the RX-7. And we are going to select a Corvette ZR1. I actually ended up racing in real life at a stoplight a Z06 Corvette, slightly newer model than this. And if I remember correctly, the interiors on the cars, like they actually did the real interiors as well as the engine sounds. So I'll verify that here in a second. Yep. My gauge cluster and vents. Oh, if I knew how to actually play, where's the gas, guys? Where's the gas? There we go. Anyway, the gauge cluster, the vents, definitely out of a third generation RX-7. So they had oncoming traffic, police cars. Police could come after you and pull you over if you didn't get far enough ahead of them. But yeah, guys, this was the game that spawned the entire series. This is the original Need for Speed. And I remember thinking how awesome this was. The graphics were just amazing to me. Of course, looking back now with games like Gran Turismo and Forza being, oh, completely photorealistic. Oh, the cops are going to get me? Are you kidding me? No. Yeah, if they got ahead of you, it automatically slowed you down and you got a ticket. There was nothing you could do. Speeding. Thanks, Officer Friendly. All right, well, let's try this again. Oh, no, not reverse. First gear, first gear. All right, well, that ZR1, he's miles ahead of me at this point. There's no way I'm going to catch him. Going too fast in the corners here. Yeah, the Mazda RX-7 was the world's first production sequential twin-turbo car. And the key word there is sequential, because obviously there had been twin-turbo cars before. But the RX-7, the first turbo would spool up. They were smaller turbos, so they would actually spool up a lot faster. But the problem with smaller turbos is they don't have a lot of top-end performance. And but larger turbos take a little bit more energy to spool up, so there's a bit more turbo lag. So what Mazda did was it had a second identical turbo that would kind of like pre-spool, and then at a certain RPM, the second turbo would kick in. And so you kind of had the best of both worlds. You had good off-the-line performance, and when that second turbo would kick in, you had good top-end performance. And it was a very complex system, and a lot of people, when they modify RX-7s, they actually end up getting rid of the sequential twin turbos and in favor of a larger single turbo, because the system, it had a tendency to failure, and it was just overly complex. It was very cool, though. I definitely kept my system intact. Just a little history on the RX-7 there. All third-generation RX-7s, which was the last generation available in the United States, all of them were twin-turbo. There was a base model. First year, 93, there was a base model. There was an R1 and a touring model. I had the touring model, and later on they had an R2. The racing model had twin oil coolers. Didn't have it took some stuff away to save weight. It was more of a racing model. Had adjustable suspension. The touring model, I think, had adjustable shocks too. It's kind of cool. They gave you the stats, your total time, segment time, top speed. But anyway, a lot of fun. The graphics are obviously dated, but I could still sit down and play this and have a ton of fun with it. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you have any questions or comments about future content you'd like to see, let me know in the comment section below. And let me know what games you guys really enjoyed playing on whatever system you guys had when you were kids. But anyway, take care, everybody.